Good afternoon, everyone. This is the BCC News presented by Farah and Raneen. And here are the headlines. Predicting boneheaded driving with technology.
Batman vs Superman's trailer officially released.
The capital Sana'a might run out of water as soon as 2017.
Man throws acid at a woman for refusing to marry him.
Messi scores 400th goal for Barcelona in 2-0 win versus Valencia.
Expo 2020 Dubai marks the 2020 day countdown.
Hillary Clinton has announced she's running to become the Democrats' presidential candidate. Predicting boneheaded driving with technology. Almost all automobile crashes are caused by human error. But what if there were a way to predict driving mistakes right before they happen? That's the promise of new technology under development by researchers at Cornell and Stanford universities. While many cars already have sensors and cameras that watch line markings and surrounding vehicles, this new system also uses cameras inside the car to monitor the driver. Some movements of the head and body can indicate that a driver is about to turn or change lanes in the next few seconds. With that information combined with data from sensors outside the car, computers can predict that a driver is going to make a dangerous move. For example, turning left in front of an oncoming car, the system could also use GPS data to warn a driver that, say, the turn he's about to make is illegal at that time of day. So far, this technology is the early stages, but the researchers are in active discussions with automakers.
Versus Superman's trailer is officially released. Ben Affleck's Batman takes center stage in the first glimpse at Warner Bros. 2016 Superhero SmackDown, following a montage of commentators wondering whether or not Superman is less a defender of mankind than a potential threat. While Jeremy Irons' Alfred talks about the fever, the rage, the feeling of powerlessness that turns good men cruel. We see the new Dark Knight fly drive-through explosions before Armand staring down Henry Cavill's Superman and asking him whether or not he bleeds. "You will," promises Batman. The movie follows up on events of 2013's Man of Steel, with Cavill and Amy Adams returning as Superman and Lois Lane respectively. In addition to Affleck and Irons, the sequel also introduces J.C. Eisenberg as Lex Luthor and Gal Gadot as Wonder Man, though neither of the latter characters are hinted at this teaser. But then something has to be left for the main trailer, doesn't it?
The capital Sana'a might run out of water as soon as 2017. Yemen's political troubles are in the news right now. Houthi rebels from the north of the country ousted President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi, who was only elected after the Arab Spring uprisings in 2012 in February. A Saudi-led coalition began an aerial campaign at the end of March and have pledged to continue the airstrikes until they achieve their objective of rescuing Hadi's government. But the headlines do not reveal the part of that water plays in this crisis. 13 million Yemenis, 50% of the population, struggle daily to find or buy enough clean water to drink or grow food. As a result, 14.7 million Yemenis currently depend on humanitarian aid. As a hot country, Yemen has always experienced water troubles to some extent, but the problem has worsened due to an increasing population and poor water management instead of collecting and storing rainwater. Drilling for limited groundwater has become the norm. No one really knows how much is left. Various estimates predict that the capital Sana'a could run out of water within a decade or as soon as 2017.
Was acid at a woman for refusing to marry him. An Asian man was arrested by Dubai police for pouring acid on a 21-year-old Asian model after she refused to marry him. Major General Khalil Ibrahim Al-Mansouri, assistant to the Dubai police chief for criminal investigation affairs, said, "The police received a call about a man pouring acid on a woman. He said a team was dispatched to the location, and it took the woman, who was found with her face and upper torso burned, to the hospital. The victim told the police that she had just moved to the UAE a few months ago and was staying with her sister and her brother-in-law. She said her attacker was a friend who used to show her around the country, and that he had proposed to her so many times and she had refused him, as she sees him just as a friend. On the day of the incident, the attacker stopped the victim on her way to meet someone and threatened to kill himself by drinking acid. She did not agree to marry him. When she refused him again, he threw acid on her face and body. The man was later arrested by police and the woman is being cared for by the Dubai Police's Victim Care Department. They are covering her currently by treatments and expenses with the help of local charities and providing her with psychological care.
Messi scores 400th goal for Barcelona in 2-0 win versus Valencia. Lionel Messi set up Luis Suarez's first-minute opener, then notched his 400th goal for Barcelona in stoppage time to give the Spanish league leaders a hard-fought 2-0 win over Valencia on Saturday. The 27-year-old Argentine is the all-time leading scorer for both Barcelona and the Spanish league. His 400th goal in his 471st match for the Catalan club was also his 278th goal in La Liga. Messi curled a free kick off the corner of the goal frame in the 64th, but we had to wait until Valencia's entire team except its goalkeeper went forward in hope of a last-gasp equalizer. That left Messi with no choice but to beat Diego Alves after he saved Messi's initial chip shot.
2020 Dubai marks 2020 Day Countdown. Expo 2020 Dubai officially marked the 2020 Day Countdown to the opening of the iconic event with the releasing of 2020 wishes made by the public into the Burj Lake at downtown Dubai on a Friday. Visitors were encouraged to write their hopes and dreams for Expo 2020 Dubai on glowing LED balls, which were then cascaded into the lake. At exactly 8:20 p.m. in the evening, thousands of gathered spectators were treated to a specialized Dubai fountain show, adding to the occasion. The wishes made by the visitors were encouraging and heartwarming, showcasing the support for Expo 2020 and how it could make a positive difference. The experiential zones, which run at the Dubai Mall and JBR The Beach until 18th April before heading off around the other Emirates, take visitors on a journey through the history of World Expos up to Expo 2020 Dubai. The zones allow visitors to engage with the interactive screens and motion-controlled sensors displays to enhance their awareness about the Expo and learn how Expo 2020 will be for everyone. So now we leave you with the reporter Naila, reporting from the American University of Sharjah, from the SBA building, having a short interview about Expo 2020 and what it will lead to and its positive or negative effects.
Thank you, Raneen. Now we'll have Dr. Robert from the marketing department. Hi, Doctor.
Hello.
I have a few questions about Expo 2020. How Expo 2020 will influence the marketing in Dubai?
Well, there will be a lot of people coming here, and I'm not sure exactly what the numbers are. One of the reasons for doing the 2020 is to increase the exposure of Dubai to the rest of the world. So there's going to be a large influx of tourists coming for that. My understanding was they're building several hundred new hotels in Dubai and the broader area, the UAE, to accommodate the traffic. So the way it's going to affect the marketing is there's going to be a significant influx of visitors to the malls for a lot of retail shopping. And since the UAE in general, and Dubai in particular, position itself as a shopping destination, it should have a significant impact on business.
And the other question is how Expo 2020 will change the labor market in the UAE in general?
Change the local market. The way I think you'll see the market change is that there's infrastructure improvements. With the different metros and things they're putting in, it will make it easier for consumers to get around within Dubai. I know for myself, one of the biggest hassles is the traffic. And the infrastructure developments that they're doing should benefit that, to make better traffic flows with the other metro that they're building, the tram and that sort of thing. Also, with the expansion of the creek, it's going to expand shopping areas for recreation. There will be a lot more restaurants and night events along the creek on the Dow cruises where they're extending it around to the marina. So I think you're going to see a big impact there. But certainly for the locals, it's going to increase the infrastructure for retail.
Thank you, Dr. Robert. Now we'll return back to Raneen.
Thank you, Naila, for this short insight.
Hillary Clinton announces she's running to become the Democrats' presidential candidate. Now we have William Blum, historian and author of bestsellers like Rogue State and America's Deadliest Export. Welcome to the show. It's great to have you with us today. Now, Hillary Clinton has announced she's running to become the Democrats' presidential candidate. And Jeb Bush is also likely to put his bid forward for the Republicans. Now, Bush and Clinton, we've been here before. Who better candidate do you think? Not just for the US, but also for the world, like global peace efforts, for instance?
I don't think the US foreign policy will change at all, regardless of who is in the White House, Bush or Clinton, or who else is running. Our policy does not change. It doesn't change at all. I can add Obama to that. It wouldn't even matter which party it is that being said, the Republican or the Democrats. They have the same foreign policy.
Okay, but why do you think it's the same policy for both parties? Like, why don't you think they're not different from each other?
Because America for 2 centuries has had one basic overriding goal, and that is world domination, at least from the 1890s, if not earlier, one can say that. World domination is something which appeals to both Republicans and Democrats, or the rebels or the conservatives. The idea that we are the exceptional nation and have something very important to impart to the rest of the world, our marvelous values, American exceptionals. Each party believes in that very strongly. They don't argue about that at all, except through their campaign debates. They take certain opposing views just to appear different. But in power, they have the same exact policy, world domination.
Okay, now back in 2009, President Obama made it clear that the missile shield in Europe would no longer be necessary if the threat from Iran was eliminated. And nuclear deal with Iran was struck. Now, historic deal is close, but NATO is saying there will be no change in missile shield plans. Why not?
Because NATO shares America's desire to dominate the world. NATO is just an arm of the US foreign policy. There's no point actually in making a distinction between US foreign policy and NATO's policy. They are the same. If US were not in NATO, NATO would not even exist. US founded NATO. US is its main supporter and it's the financial source. There's no distinction between US and NATO, and they share the same view of America's world domination. So it doesn't matter whether Iran is doing this or that. They know that Iran is not a lover of an empire. And anyone who's not a lover of an empire has a short lifespan. Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, whatever. That is the test. Do you love empire or not?
But can we be a little bit more precise about this domination theory? NATO has been strengthening its eastern borders with military building up on Russia's doorsteps and a rapid reaction force to include 30,000 personnel. Why this deployment? Who is it aimed against?
It is aimed against Russia. The US cannot stand anyone who might stay in the way of the empire's expansion. And Russia and China are the only nations which can do that. Other nations such as Cuba or Iran or Venezuela are regarded as enemies just as well because they have the power to influence. Like Cuba has influence all over the Western Hemisphere. That makes them a great enemy. But the basic criteria for the empire's expansion is whether you support empire or not. And that excludes all the countries I've named, from Cuba to Russia.
Do you think US would go as far as using force against its enemies?
Well, the US has used force against its enemies on a regular basis for 2 centuries. Of course they would use force. They've used force against Cuba. They invaded Cuba and they've supported Cuban exiles in all kinds of violent activities for 60 years. Violence is never far removed from the United States policy. Let me summarize something for the benefit of the listeners. Since 1946, the US has attempted to overthrow more than 50 foreign governments. In the same time period, it has attempted to assassinate more than 50 foreign leaders. It has bombed the people of 30 countries. It has suppressed revolutionary parties in at least 20 nations. And I forgot other factors on my list. This is a record unparalleled in all of human history. And there is no reason to think it is changing or will change, except if some superior force comes on a scene that could actually defeat the United States.
Thank you very much for this interesting insight. We were talking to William Blum, historian and author of bestsellers Rogue State and America's Deadliest Export. discussing matters of the U.S. foreign policy and what would happen if the U.S. decides to end all of its foreign interventions at once.
That's it for today. Thank you for watching and hope to see you soon.